D, does Project Hail Mary pass the Bechdel test?
I don't believe so because I can't really remember much of a conversation between two women, but I think you have a different opinion.
I'm not sure. So the women in the film, we have Sandra Hüller as Eva Stratz, who is the head of the international task force behind the project. Then we have a couple of other astronauts or engineers working. So there's Olesia Ilyukina, who is a Russian engineer that's supposed to board the Hail Mary, and she speaks a number of times about the wider project. She speaks to Grace. I think she does speak to Ava about Project Hail Mary, but I'm not sure if every time is within the context of referring to Grace. It might be.
Mm-hmm.
There's apparently, looking at the cast list, there's apparently another woman as well, and Annie Shapiro, who is a backup scientist of the Hail Mary. But I don't recall her at all.
Yes.
And there's also two other scientists, Dr. Brown and Dr. Lee, but I think they're quite minor roles. So there are a couple of women in the cast list, but the only memories I have of anybody speaking is Sandra Hüller and the other scientist woman. And I cannot verify that
Yeah.
they actually spoke about anything other than Grace.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can't either. So,
So I will say I lean towards I think it passes. I think you lean towards it doesn't pass. So
yeah.
TBD.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you feel the film handles gender in general?
I don't think it has anything to say really, and obviously we will have different opinions on this, or like we will have opinions on it rather, just because you've both been women interacting in spaces that are um, predominantly male dominated, and also in the science space as well. If anything, I will say that like. I guess, did Sandra Hüller's character need to be that cold? And the reason why I'm saying that is the German stereotype aside, I do think there's also another stereotype of what it is to be a woman who's in a male dominated space in general, but also in the science space. I think there is a stereotype of us being very cold. I do think, I don't know, maybe my mind is just playing tricks on me, but I feel like there were maybe some gaffes here and there about like how people were reacting to her because she is a woman who is leading a science project and a very serious government science project. Did you get that vibe?
I did. And I will say,
Okay.
as a counter, I suppose, that the film tries to do is that the other female scientists in the film, they tend to be quite bubbly and effervescent as opposed to her quote unquote coldness.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you though, but she is the most prominent woman in the film. In fact, she's the most prominent human in the film after Grace.
Mm-hmm.
And all I was thinking as I was watching her is that, okay, so she stars in Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest, both
Mm.
huge, excellent powerhouse international indie films. Hollywood comes calling to her, saying, girl, we want you to be in our big blockbuster sci-fi space epic with Ryan Gosling. And she's like, oh, okay, well, that's good money. And I needed to continue to fund all these my fun little exploits I'm doing in cool indie films. She has another really exciting film coming out this year.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, send me the script. And she just sees the script and it's like cold German. And it's like, okay.
On the
All right.
nose.
She must get so many of those.
Mm-hmm.
But the check was on, she couldn't say no to this check. This movie
Yeah.
cost like $200 million or something like that. So they were all paid good.
And people love it, so it was a good choice
And they
for her.
love it.
But
Yes.
she's such a phenomenal actress. I want to see someone give her something other than cold German stereotype woman. So,
Yeah.
what do you think the film had to say about family and the isolation of Grace?
I think it had terrible things to say. Terrible, terrible, terrible things to say. Like you said, a big part of the thesis of this film and the characters of this film is that he is a worthy sacrifice to make because, quote unquote, he has no family and nobody will miss him. This is like rhetoric we hear all the time. And in the workplace, actually, this is rhetoric that permeates into the workplace when you're a single person or a childless person of any gender. I think it was for women, but of any gender. And it's such a toxic and evil thing that I really recoil against because it puts onus on people who, for whatever reasons, at that particular point in their life, do not have children or do not have serious domestic partners to have to basically pick up the slack of everybody else, basically turning them into second class citizens, as even though there are many other parts of your life that a single person or a person without, quote unquote, a nuclear family pays a tax on by being single in society. So then you're now then further burdened in the workplace, and you're being told that, oh yeah, we expect you to be able to give up this extra time and to be able to do, because unlike this person, you don't have any kid you're picking up from school, you don't have kids for half time, and it's like, that's their choice. I respect them for their choice. They have the right to make a family, but that should not, they shouldn't have to divide their labor over to me because of their choice. You guys signed the contract of employment you signed with that person, and you signed the one you signed with me. We have nothing to do with each other, and our choices of whether or not to have family should not affect how much labor is expected of me. Like, it's so messed up.
And let's not forget, it's not a choice for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, it's just not a choice.
A lot of people might not even want to be in that scenario, and they are, and you're still going to put that on them. It's so fucked up. And also, this is something you and I have talked about a million times. The idea that, like, a romantic partner is the be all and end all for, like, stability and community. There is no evidence that supports this.
Exactly.
Evidence repeatedly shows, especially for women, that having a community that you can just generally depend on and, like, you have some kind of healthy mutualistic relationship with is the biggest signifier of a healthy and balanced long life than anything else. Now, it is true men live longer when they are partnered up, and men tend to be more successful in their careers when they have wives. When they make those remarks to him, it's not based on him being a man. They just are broadly saying that he doesn't have someone in his life, so really, what does he have to lose? How do you know he doesn't have community? And the film is not interested in inquiring about that.
Exactly. That's really what annoyed me. We know that he's lonely in the film because you see it, but no one's asking the question of why. And most importantly, not only are they not asking the question, no one's thinking, how can we assist this? All they're thinking is, oh, this guy's lonely, he's probably gonna crack, he's probably gonna have some sort of depression. Let's send him into space on a suicide mission because, oh well, no one's gonna be at the funeral anyway. It's just a disgrace. It's really embarrassing. What I will say though, as a flip side to this, is like, basically you can't win in this society because if you don't have kids, if you don't have a nuclear family, then the assumption is, oh well, no one depends on you, you can't be trapped, right? And by the way, for many child-free people, that is the exacta law. So that's the whole bloody point. But on the other side, the reason why men who have families are considered more dependable is because, right, it's assumed that, well, you can't run off. You can't just quit your job and go traveling for 10 years because you've got a mortgage to pay. And that's the other reason why they like certain employers. They like you if you have a mortgage, and they will actually ask you, do you own a house? Or they'll ask you, are you married? Do you have children? Because the assumption is you can't, you're not just going to be quitting your job and going to find better because you're trapped, mate.
Where are you escaping to?
Yeah, where are you really going? So, yeah. Basically, you can't win, but I completely agree with everything you said about how society punishes those who are single and do not have children. It's really disgusting and, like, somber in this film, and I'm shocked because it's a kids' film as far as I'm concerned. But anyway.
Yeah, so that's a very important thing here, because I don't expect every film to reflect my own personal choices or ideological choices in terms of how you navigate life with friends, family, community, etc., etc. But what is sinister to me is that this film is not like a serious, dark, art housey film that's trying to present an ideology that I don't necessarily agree with, but is opening it up to me to critique. That's not what this is. This is a family fun popcorn film that is treating this concept as an assumed idea, and as a fundamental idea on which the rest of the logic of the movie is stacked upon, and is casually feeding that to children as this is the norm, this is the standard, this is what you should accept as the basis of reality. And I'm just like, so we're still doing this?
In 2026.
So yeah, I wasn't impressed.